And what is good, y'all? Welcome back to the streams. I am the Luzod, and we are back with another video. Today we are going to be talking about the Kwisatz Haderach. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but yeah, we're not talking about the book today. Unfortunately, I just wanted to do that little fucking Hans Zimmer fucking chorus thing. We're actually going to be talking about the HBO Max series, Dune Prophecy. 3 episodes are out, and as you know, I know a lot of people are like, but it's adapting a Brian Herbert novel. But I don't know. I feel like the timing of this, it's gonna affect Messiah and like how the whole Dune universe, like HBO is really like writing the check and saying we want to bet this universe and we want more about it. So they're adapting Sisterhood of Dune for this. So a lot of this is based 10,000 years before Paul Atreides will even show up. It's before anything, but the main houses that we know of Harkonnen, Atreides, and Carino, they're all in this. And like the titular characters in this are a Mother Superior from the Sisterhood, which is what it was called before it was the Bene Gesserit. You got Tula, who's her sister. They're both of House Harkonnen. And then you got the Travis Fimmel guy on the left, who's from Vikings, and he's played, Ragnar Lothbrok. And then you also got bald head freaking Mark Strong right there under Valia Harkonnen. A little symbolic there because he's like the right now he's in the throne of power. He's of House Carino. His Javico Carino, and the guy Travis Pammel's playing is Desmond Hart. So this is about the Sisterhood that becomes the Bene Gesserit, but as of now it's just called the Sisterhood. And a lot of people refer to these women as witches and sorcerers because of their abilities. Like premonition, they can tell if you're lying, and like clairvoyancy and like other shit like that. They have like this certain code with their fingers. So first 3 episodes are out. It's not bad. It could be better. It's like a wannabe Game of Thrones in space, which a lot of people have already made those comparisons to Dune 1 and 2. But they could have adapted a lot of other different stories in the Dune universe. Even for Brian Herbert, I think the most interesting he probably did was probably the Cymaxes and the Machine Wars. The Butlerian Jihad is what it literally starts with. The episode is a flashback of saying like a 93-year war with all the houses and humanity banding against these things called the thinking machines and these AI droids that were made to be more subservient and to like think for mankind when it comes to like numbers and data and stuff. But like the Terminator, they rose up and they started fighting and killing a bunch of humans. I mean, we reap what we sow. We kind of did that to ourselves, and then that's when machinery was all kind of banned everywhere in like the universe, and now people started using people for data and like storage and like other shit, and like eventually these things called mentats, which are introduced in like part 1 that do like a whole lot of math and a whole lot of like calculations, are people, but there are organic people that can actually do math and do a lot of AI stuff quicker than the average person. They're basically eidetic memory people, like but like times 1,000 or whatever. So as of right now, the titular characters that we know in the show are Valia Harkonnen, who is in the title or like right there at the beginning of the poster. And then we also have Javico Carino, who's Mark Strong. And he's the emperor of everything, and like he's the Imperium leader, and he's also of House Carino. So he has the Golden Lion throne, which is what's called like the main head of the House of the Imperium. House Ricasi, these motherfuckers, a bunch of blonde people. They were also kind of responsible for manufacturing machines. So even after the machine wars, they're a little, I guess, hard to trust. And then Yaviko Carino is Yanez is Yaviko Carino's daughter. She's also set up to be part of the Sisterhood, Truthsayer as they are called now. And she's also set up to be married to the youngest son of House Ricasi, which, as you see right here, is pretty much an infant at the time. And their marriage council or their marriage ritual pact is sharing a piece of pomegranate together, like the seeds or whatever. And in the first episode, House Carino is trying to strengthen its hold onto Arrakis, which is the whole thing where spice melange kind of comes from, which is where the space guilds and navigators use for interstellar travel, and drugs because it's the spice, and power over spice is power over all. So House Carino is responsible for extracting the spice of Arrakis right now, and they've been responsible for that for years, but they've been finding some trouble. And apparently, another one of those troubles is that a soldier named Desmond Hart has recently come back from a raid in Arrakis. Now, he claims that a bunch of houses have stolen from him, and the shipments of spice were taken from ship by ship. And and Yaviko Carino obviously asked one of his sisters that's assigned to each and every royal house to see if he's telling the truth. And she basically can't tell. So, we don't know. This guy right here is like a whole ass anomaly. Valia Harkonnen's tried to like read him, tried to use the voice on him. Doesn't work. So Desmond Hart right now is like a huge wild card. But now as of episode 3, there's kind of a theory going around. So in episode 3, Valia Harkonnen is slowly but surely trying to, push her agenda with the Sisterhood of Eugenics. The Sisterhood is trying to, operate the thrones and the seats of power in the shadows. The goal of the Sisterhood is also a eugenics thing, manipulating the bloodline of certain royal houses in order to have the perfect specimen to create I'm probably going to butcher this, the Kwisatz Haderach, which is what we know later in the Dune movies as Paul Atreides. So, Mother Raquel, one of the first Mother Superiors in the Sisterhood, brings in Valia Harkonnen on it as soon as she finds out that she has the ability of the voice, which is, this thing where it's like, give me the water, or what Paul Atreides goes, silence, to the Mother Superior. It's a manipulation frequency voice that you can use to, make people do whatever you like. It's pretty fucking wild. So as soon as Valia Harkonnen is discovered to have this from Mother Raquel, she brings her in on this genetic data thing plan that they have. Basically, when I call them the Sisterhood of Eugenics, is that they are a sisterhood of sorceresses that are dedicated to manipulating the bloodline of certain royal families to create the perfect specimen, the perfect being, the Kwisatz Haderach that I mentioned before. That's supposed to be, one of them, but a male, and also, like I said, like the perfect, their idea of the perfect being, their messianic figure. So that's what they're trying to manipulate in the shadows. That's what Valia Harkonnen's idea is trying to do, and one of their ideas is trying to marry off House Rakesi to House Carino with this lady and this kid. But it didn't go so well, especially because this kid ends up being, charbroiled by this motherfucker. And now there's some kind of theory that this motherfucker may have died on Arrakis and came back from a worm. Like a giant sandworm, the Shai Halud. Who the fuck is this guy? I don't even know if he has the right name. He could be a face dancer or a Talaxu, Bene Talaxu, Gola. There's a lot of theories going around on who the fuck this guy is. So right now he's like locked up in suspension. Like I said, Valia Harkonnen's voice doesn't work on him. Who fucking knows who Desmond Hart is? But I really like that Travis Fimmel is playing the shit out of this role. But yeah, he had a role in the Machine Wars. And House Rakesi, that little kid that was marrying Inez earlier that I said, this little kid, he had a little robot lizard that he was showing his wife on their wedding day. And it basically, drained the tensions and drained all the good mood that was in the wedding. And they basically threatened the kid, like, to slit his throat or to get rid of the fucking little robot. Desmond Hart was the one that ends up stabbing it with a knife. And I was like, man, what's the deal with people not liking robots? But yeah, thinking machines are a big fucking no-no, apparently. And this all happened, I think, the first 2 episodes. And another thing that happened is that you're probably all wondering, well, where the hell is Atreides? This is Kieran Atreides, and he's the swordmaster and protector of House Carino. Anyone that's like using a sword has to be trained by this guy, including Inez. And they also kind of have like a little love thing going on, but because Inez was supposed to get married to House Rakesi, which didn't happen because, like I said, Desmond Hart did this thing that ended up charbroiling the kid. Now he's dead. It also killed the Sisterhood, or the Bene Gesserit Truthsayer Sisterhood member that was assigned to House Carino. So she died pretty brutally. And I don't know how he did it, going like this and burning something, but that's fucking amazing. Desmond Hart is crazy. But yeah, the reason this character is so important, not just because of his last name, but Kieran Atreides is also helping lead the rebellion in Arrakis against House Carino. So it kind of defeats. It's a little bit of a character flaw, but also very layered and makes him very multi-dimensional. That Kieran Atreides is also training and falling in love with the daughter of House Carino, Yanez, and also training the soldiers of House Carino, while ironically also leading the rebellion on Arrakis that House Carino is supposed to be extracting spice from. So, to each his own, I guess. So, in the third episode is when we have a little bit of a flashback for both Tula and, Valia, who are right there in the poster. And for those of you who know, Tula is also a Mother Superior that's kind of in charge of training the new Sisters of the Truthsayers. Right now, she's supposed to be training Lila, who also is supposed to go through this thing called the Agony. Which, in a way, if you see it, it's like when a sister or a Truthsayer is like going through death and looking through the past lives of other sisters. But it kind of looks like the Avatar state from fucking Last Airbender. And so Lila goes through it. She nearly dies trying to do it. And then in the third episode, we go back to a flashback where the original House Harkonnen was on this big wailing ice planet. I forget what it's called. Tula, little Valia, and their brother Griffin are growing up with a really, really ornery Mark Addy, who plays Yevgeny Harkonnen. And they're like poor and they're eating soup and they're talking about how Vorian Atreides was kind of spitting lies about them, about how Harkonnens didn't really participate and abandoned people during the machine wars that I mentioned earlier. So Tula gets the Valia gets the idea to get someone in her family to go confront him at Secludus. I gotta remember the planet names more. But yeah, they want to go confront Vorian Atreides and say, hey, you were spitting lies about our family Harkonnens, and now we were fucking banished to this shitty ass wailing icy planet that's basically fucking Antarctica. Is that, and we fucking hate you, so fuck you. So Griffin and Valia get the idea to go do it and to confront him and say, let's change our ways and let's change everything for House Harkonnen. And then Griffin dies. And Valia is sent to go to Wallach 9 to go train with the Sisterhood. And leaving also Tula by herself. And Valia looks like that, while young Tula looks like this. So Tula, in the flashbacks, is in love with a man named Ori. And they're all happy, and they look nice together. And when we find out that they're kind of like in this like hunting primitive kind of world where whoever his name is gets revealed later, they're slaughtering a bull and they're eating it. But the bull that they have is also sick and unwell. So Tula heals it, air quote, and then they have a feast, and Tula gets a marriage proposal from Ori. And as of right now, we have no idea who this guy is. And we think that Tula's moved on from House Harkonnen and that she's okay. And then it's revealed that after the marriage proposal and she accepts, and after having a steamy night together, Ori's last name is Atreides. And the people shouting around the fire are going, Atreides! Atreides! And I'm like, oh, fuck. Tula's infiltrating this family for ulterior reasons. And then they wake up the next morning and Tula has to tell him, because it's weighing on her and it's making her guilty, that she's a Harkonnen and that Atreides and Harkonnens have been, butting heads since Vorian Atreides and since the Machine Wars. So Ori says he doesn't care and that Ori still loves her with all his heart, but she says that I'll still be a Harkonnen and it'll still be an Atreides that killed my older brother. And then he goes outside and realizes that his entire clan was poisoned and that this was all Tula's fucking doing, and she kills him. And then that there was one Atreides that she had helped earlier with like curly hair, and he was young, and she just looked and he just told her, get out of here, like run. She left one alive, slaughtered that entire fucking family. Holy shit. Did not know that Tula was capable of that. Fucking give it up. But then Valia, in her past, is getting, run through the ringer by the Truthsayers and the Sisterhood. and they're supposed to say, sisterhood above all, which is supposed to say like, I abandon my family, I take my monk vows, and only dedicate myself to this place. I have no other loved ones. Valia refuses. Valia is still hearkening till death. And then Raquel sees like she has this resolve, and that Raquel is also noticing that she also has the voice. And so there's initially like a little bit of a standoff between her and the woman that's training her. But then the first mother superior that comes to her, Raquel, sees her potential and that sees she's very powerful. But also sees that she's willing to tell her friends about the voice and how she's going to be a mother superior soon. So they tell Valia to go and either do the agony in order to, see the lives of her past sisters and become a mother superior, which is what I mentioned earlier. But Valia has to do it now. But she doesn't, she refuses. So she has to go back home and do it herself, which she does because when she goes back home to that Harkonnen ice whaling planet, she's not welcomed well. She even tries to do the voice on her own mother because they're talking shit about her. They think that what Tula did with House Atreides was Valia's fault, not Tula of her own doing. But for Tula to do all that, I'm pretty sure there was like a little dark desire in her heart. But Valia tries to use the voice to make her mom slit her own throat, and then she stops. And Yevgeny Harkonnen, Mark Addy, calls her a fucking witch. And then she finally does the agony. She takes her blood and she drinks it, and then she sees all these fucking sister witches and shit. Pretty crazy. And then when she finally takes her vows, Tula, this chick. Sorry. This chick also loses Lila doing the same shit that Valia did in order to become Mother Superior. As soon as she did the agony, she was close to death, but then Tula saved her, and then she went back to the Sisterhood to be a Mother Superior at a young age. But Tula lost Lila, who was trying to speak through Mother Raquel to find out more about Desmond Hart. And what she told him is that he is is that there is a reckoning coming, and that the key is the one who has died from blood and one who was born from blood and born from the worm. And so that's what it sounds like, that Desmond Hart may have died from Shai Hulud and brought back. So that's why she's saying the reckoning is Desmond Hart. So she wanted to look at Mother Raquel and see if she had any answers that could be helpful. But Lila is not coming back, and the agony might have killed her. So if people find out that Tula did this, she's in big trouble. So she does a big no-no and goes to a thinking machine called Arusala and pumps the tomb that Lila's in full of spice, which could either, literally kill her or bring her back as some fucking priestess, prophetic oracle. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, that's Dune Prophecies 1, 2, and 3, and I will be probably doing more of these episodes weekly. As well, I think they air on Sundays, so I'm gonna try and do these either Mondays or Tuesdays to do the episodes afterwards. So thank you for joining me. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Look at some of my older videos, and yeah,